let's say you made your $1 million, 6-figure, 7-figure business. What would be the difference of how you spend your day from now or when you had that 6-7-figure business? What is the difference? There shouldn't be a difference. There shouldn't be a difference. I really feel as though whether you're making 7 figures or you're trying to hit your 5K or your first K a month, why should there be a difference of how you spend your day? Oh, then I'll be happy when I make the 7 figures. No, how come you're not happy now, today?
That's right.
Are you
That's
living
right.
your dream life today? Hello, welcome to Monetizing Mompreneurs podcast, where I take you behind the scenes with industry leaders, entrepreneurs, moms, working professionals, and amazing people pursuing their passions and going for their dreams. And I'm your host, Linda Mendable. Hey, welcome to today's episode where we have Cassie, our launch strategist, who's been helping me launch basically our summit, a Monetizing Mompreneurs Summit, which it kicks off this week. Get in. But we're going to do an interview because Cassie had a ton of questions that she said that she had for me. And I said, you know what? Let's do an interview.
And I'm excited because I have 20 million questions that I have picked specifically for Linda. And I'm ready to do, and here's the deal. I know that if I have these questions, then there are a lot of us out there that are like, you know what, this lady is always busy and we just have some questions for her. She's always interviewing everybody else. So today's the day and I'm excited.
Yeah. And the thing about it is you have been seeing a lot of the back end because you've been seeing kind of like our group grow, some of the emails coming in and all of that. So I can't even imagine what your perspective of what it is that we're doing.
Well, these questions are going to help you know my perspective and then my thoughts while I'm working. And because here's the deal, we're always working on things and I want to afterwards, I'm like, how did she figure that out? How did she do that? So are you ready? Are you ready to be in the hot seat?
Yes, I'm in the hot seat. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So this is a little bit of working. Like I compiled some things, right? I want everyone to peek in a little bit into your life on the part that I get to know a little bit. And then also that business mind, because your mind has become something that I have learned to really appreciate and admire. Okay. All right. So for the first, let me see my first question. Okay, we're just going to dive in with that first one. All right. So how do you know when you're stuck? So when you get stuck, how do you know? And once you know that you're stuck, what's that one question that helps you get unstuck?
Okay, so this is a great question. And number one, I want to say thank you, Cassie, for those amazing words. Sometimes I'm very bad to receive compliments. So I got to learn to be like gracious and say thank you. So I'm trying to implement that in my life. So thank you so much. So how do I know when I'm stuck? When I'm frustrated. When I am frustrated and kind of like doing that whole comparison, that comparison game, I know I'm stuck. There's something that I'm not seeing right and it's frustrating me. And so I either in the frustration procrastinate, right? Or I'm mindlessly scrolling, trying to find an answer. So I know I'm stuck because I'm trying to find an answer outside of myself, when in reality, if I sit still and of course pray, the answer will come, right? Because, we're both God-fearing women and, putting God first is a big deal in our lives, right?
So sounds like you kind of just connect with him for a second and and you think through, okay, what's going on here? Just start kind of rolling through and assessing and then telling him like, I'm going to trust that you're going to give me that solution. You're going to help me get unstuck.
Absolutely. Like recently I just came out of that. So I was very frustrated. And you know how sometimes when you scroll, I was scrolling mindlessly through IG, but I kept getting some messages like everything is in God's hands, like trust God. And you're going to hear my kids in the background. I don't know if you hear them because they're watching cartoons.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. But anyways, I got out of that by first recognizing, okay, I'm a little bit lost and I'm trying to find the answers outside of myself. So I can either continue this frustration and what I don't have and do the woe is me part, pity party, right? Throw that pity party for me, or I can get still and trust that the answers that I don't have will come. And put that in prayer. And I found that that's what happens. And sometimes it's making another connection with someone else, or sometimes just trusting your schedule that you've already set up. I've had some very like God ordained meetings and I'm just like, wow, that brought in answers to certain questions that I had. And so you never know, what does the Bible say, right? A man plans his ways, but the Lord guides his steps.
Directs his steps. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
And there's another one that says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Lord, I have learned to say, Lord willing, Lord, is it your will? And am I on your will? Like, are we on the right? Are we together on this? Or am I towing something that I need to let go of?
Amen. Yeah. And so I think for me, it's really getting clear, like kind of quiet, getting still, right? Okay, recognizing you're frustrated. For me, that's, recognizing when you're stuck. Me, I'm frustrated. I'm trying to find the answers outside of myself. I already know I got to go into myself, right? I got to.
Okay, so you're going in, you're internalizing, you're starting to process. And so there's probably some of those questions like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you got to have self-awareness. That's why entrepreneurship is a journey of self-discovery. You're discovering a lot about yourself, and you got to have a lot of self-awareness in order to move forward.
It's so true.
You're the one that's preventing milestones from happening. It's not other people, it's you.
No, and yeah, and maybe you need to get rid of those people because they're not right. And so then that's you. You got to be aware of that and you got to figure that out.
Yeah, something hit me really hard the other day. I read somewhere that said, if you're feeling alone, maybe it's God protecting other people from you. And that really hit me. I'm like, oh, shoot.
That's kind of that one where they say, oh gosh, I'm probably going to totally chop it up, but they say, oh, it's not you, it's totally them. And I'm thinking, that's such an awful thing to be going around all the time because we're all screwed up. And so now we're all just going to be like, oh, has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. So that, I like the one that goes, wherever you go, there you are. So if you're having the same problem come up, what's the common denominator? You.
That means, I hope that this means that we are ones.
Yes,
I was just going to say, I hope that what this means is that we are ones that take ownership in that common denominator. Okay. All right. So that was a great answer. So let's roll into my next question is, how did you first, I know I've heard, and I know you have told how you began kind of getting into business. So I don't know where you want to approach this, but my question was, how did you first get into building websites? Was that the first kind of entryway? Was that the first skill you learned?
So in high school, I was really into computers. And I mean, building computers from motherboards and, like custom building, that's way better for the people that are, all about gaming, like building your own computer, like, that's where it's at instead of buying a store-bought computer no, it's about building and getting all of the pieces custom.
Because you were that girl. And I worked at the Art Institute where we had the gaming degrees and, there were not a lot of girls that came in for that. So, I mean, here's your ball cap. You're already kind of letting us in a little bit more. Like, that's your mind. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. And so I also took Cisco, and Cisco was about networking. And I was into kind of like a lot of people in Cisco were into like hacking. But like, finding that goose and what was it, the hidden egg or something like that. I forgot what it's called, but it's a term in gaming and in hacking that, it's finding that piece. So there were games too. Anyways, in that world, right? Cisco networking, learning about the different wires and what they do, and, like systems like Python and Linux, different operating system, command prompt and doing the different commands there. And you
already got me. You're already like, going down the
command prompt.
This is like Chinese to me, but I know that it's not Chinese for everybody. So this is kind of what already grabbed your attention.
Yes. And then I also took a class in Front Page, and Front Page is kind of like a very old web builder that you do HTML in. And so I was doing websites with HTML in high school. But then fast forward a few years, because I went into the military and I was a medic, and I went into that, and then I got out of it, and then
And
I
thank you for
decided,
serving in our military. Can I
oh,
just
thank
pause
you.
really quick, because I don't think you really share that a lot either. And so that already says a little bit about, a little bit more about like just the kind of strength that is behind you. Okay. Thanks
Yeah,
for letting me
thank
interject.
you, Cassie. I'm trying to be more gracious.
Yeah, that's right. Look at what you get to practice today.
Yes. And so after that, I decided, you know what? I want to do what I want to do, because I did a lot of things of what my parents wanted me to do. And so I just dabbled in blogging. And that's why I have the blog here, because really blogging is what laid the foundation to where I'm doing now. And with blogging, at first I started trying to reach out to other like artists that they were doing so good and so many cool things. And I wanted to help them, like, how come you're not doing this full time? Like, because I love sales too. I did sales and marketing, and I was a car salesperson. Yes, I was a car, and I learned a thing or two about sales. And I remember I was like, I've always gotten my quota, like bonuses and stuff like that. And there was one thing that always stuck with me on the car lot. And they were like, hey, like the trainer that was training us, they're like, every single tire kicker, which is someone just coming on the lot to check out the cars, right? Every single person that comes on this lot is going to buy a car, whether they buy it from us or somewhere else, they're going to buy one. And that was my mentality with everyone that's up. They're going to buy it from me. So I took all of the books of all of the cars that were on the lot, and I got to know all of the cars. So when someone came in, I always asked them what they were looking for. And I say, oh, you know what? I know a car that may be a good fit. And that's how I made my quota. So it's about understanding, right, the person, what they're looking for, and understanding your product. But anyways, fast forward, I am blogging, and nobody wanted to listen to me, because who's going to listen to a nobody that's not even out here doing anything? And I said, who can I help? And I decided that I can help one person, and that one person was me. I can help myself. So I began doing kind of like custom handbags. I taught myself to sew, because I've always wanted to sew. There's another whole story with that one.
But this is that entrepreneurial mind. Let's take a second, guys. Like this is all that you've dabbled in, and in each one of these areas, they were leading you to this place. And it's that curious mind. It's all of these things that we can bring together. So then you said, so then you're like, who else can I help? So then you're like, yeah. So then you start sewing and you start creating bags. And who were you handing these bags to?
And people were buying from me, and they were a bit pricey. Like, people would buy my bags, cost almost the same, like, maybe a name brand bag would cost, and they would buy it from me. And I learned marketing with that. So I knew to incorporate stories into each of the bags that I made. So each of the bags that I made had a story behind it. And that made an emotional connection to the audience, the person that was reading it. In turn, made them also want one, because they wanted a story for themselves as well. And so that's how I incorporated storytelling in selling the handbags. And then one day, after doing this, and I remember I reached out to a fabric designer, because I was like, I want to do my own collection, because I was doing a lot of custom bespoke bags. And I did some fashion shows as well. And I have some pictures of that on my blog. But anyways, um, I remember reaching out to a fabric designer who also was a philanthropist, and her designs were worn from Michelle Obama, and Tory Burch used her line. And, I remember I was creating certain things for her, and she was like, oh, I love this. And she wanted to have like a collection in Barney's with her fabric and some, like some of our design. And at the time I had a baby. I had Emmanuel. And I remember telling her, if I was a 23-year-old just starting out, I would definitely take this opportunity to work with you. But I turned it down. I turned it down working with her, because I had, a child, a kid, and I knew how hard I didn't have the time to sacrifice so much time to get burnt. It felt like I was gonna get burnt. Like, but it was a good experience. Like maybe it'll be a good experience because
It also probably, because this is what these moments have done for me. They have solidified my creativity. They have solidified my ability to land something big. Even if I need to turn it down right now, like I still get to take me with forward. And so also it shows that, monetizing mompreneurs, like that has always been your thing. You were mom first.
Amen. Yeah. I was like, maybe if I was a young 23-year-old, I would jump on this opportunity to work with this person that has an amazing fabric, wants to be in Barney's. And I was going to be somewhat of like the designer behind it with also her fabric. She's designing the fabric, the textiles. But I turned it down because I saw that they would have been a learning curve for me. And I was just learning the whole business and I didn't know much of it. And I was like, I don't have time to get burnt and then to get back up. And I will feel some kind of way, especially with my baby, dedicating so much time into
that
this.
guilt.
Yes. And I was like, you know what? I want to go a different direction because I saw so much work that I needed to do. And I was like, I have a lot of work already in my household,
This is good.
In order to be successful, right? You got to know how to manage your time. And so then all of a sudden I had a lot of friends reach out to me and say, Linda, I love what you've done with your website. Can you make me a website? And I was like, shoot, I got the background. Why?
And then that just kind of circled in as that next opportunity. And this is that entrepreneurial mindset again. We can turn anything to a business.
But the thing is, I loved the web design portion because I'm no longer trading time for money in a sense, because before it took so much effort to cut the fabric, to sew, to market it, and no one really knew, the blood, sweat, and tears behind that, because literally,
which is why every bag
you're hurting, like
needed a
nail,
story.
not a nail, but a pin, it's just, it was a lot of work. And I was like, okay, I can either try to wholesale this, which I was trying to do. That's why I contacted that fabric designer, or I could pivot. And I decided to pivot because it allowed me more freedom. And I was still an expert in it because I knew about branding, I knew about design, I knew what I knew with, this other business. And I was like, shoot, I'm going all into web design, branding. And
I love that. I love the steps that led you there. Like I just love stories anyway. And I hadn't heard that part from your journey. So that's where and that was where the door. And then let's see, my question was, how did you first get into building websites? Yes. Okay. So then all those steps and all those pieces that landed. So that was kind of the first thing that set you online in a sense, right? Because the websites are online, and then that got you in that piece. Okay. Anything else you want to add to that question before I go on?
Yeah, so I started as a blogger. Like I blogged about each creation. I even did some YouTube videos of like the creation of how it was made. I did the behind the scenes of how it was made. And right now that's really big if you do reels like that, if you're a textile person, creative in that way, that you want to have your hands on things. And I know for some people that's very soothing, but for me, I reached a point that I couldn't do it anymore.
And not even that you couldn't, you decided like, I'm just not.
Yeah, like
because I really hear that too.
Yeah, I felt like I hit like the top of that. Like I could have gone forward and more and try to go for this opportunity. And I gave her some samples of some of the work and stuff like that. And we were mixing textile, like different fabrics, with leather and stuff like that. And I was like, I can pursue this, or I can go where it allows me to have a little bit, like I get to be very creative, like even more creative, with helping others with their business. That's what my dream was, to help other people go full time. And like, you could do this full time. Why aren't you? You're super talented. How come a lot of them didn't believe in themselves.
Right. Isn't that like, I mean, because we even have a hard time believing in ourselves. So of course we can relate to that. And some, it's even, a bigger degree, like they don't even get started. Okay. So did you know at the time that you graciously turned down this opportunity? Did you know that, did you turn it down without kind of an idea that it was going to go towards website building? Did you, I mean, like,
no. There's no second plan for me.
Okay.
Was more So it was more of like a decision I needed to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt great with the decision. I didn't feel, I remember at first I was like, wow, I can't believe it. Wow, such a big opportunity. I felt like I was in the fashion fund, you know?
I like that, because what I hear is we don't have to turn something down. We don't have to have something in place in order to turn something down. The answers will still come. You just have to know right then what's right for you.
Yes.
And so building those moments help us with that awareness steps as we move forward.
Yeah, because I was like, I could either work for someone else, 'cause that's what it was, or I can continue this path of working for myself. And I decided to continue the path of working for myself because I can always do that, in the future, because I still have certain designs in my mind for those things. And if I wanted to pursue that, I can. You know what I'm saying? Like I still, it wasn't a closed door completely for me.
Okay. Working for ourselves as mompreneurs, I think, also allows us that freedom with our children too, right? And that's what I hear that you really, really wanted.
That's what I really wanted.
If I go work for somebody else, like they have my time, they have my
I'm
decisions.
building their dream. I'm building their dream. I'm building what they want. And I was like, okay, I can either go that route. But I had a lot of mine was labor, like physical labor, sewing and putting that together, and giving the samples, sewing the samples together. And I was like, and then trying to build that out to have other people sew it for me, and then I can move out from there. But I wasn't on fire for that anymore.
But you learned so much there. Okay. So then that led you to building websites. Then you had, like many of us, if we're growing, there's oftentimes finding, developing, maybe branching off or adding another service. Cause I know I recently did that. We kind of also multitaskers, like we can already hear the other things you had your hands in. So did you have a pivot after that? And after that?
Yeah. So, okay. So I went into web design and branding, and I was very proactive. Like I had people reaching out to me, but I also reached out to people that I knew that I can help. I was like, listen, I can transform your website. Like, this is what I can do for you. But I did it to people that I already had a connection with and communication with, like already relationships that were there. So it wasn't like code pitching or anything like that. So I think that needs to be said, because don't do the code pitching.
No, right. I was just listening to this guy and he was talking about how to sell your book. And one of the biggest things he said was, well, he's talking about formulas, but he said, go into your phone and, just tell all these people. Obviously, I mean, maybe, I know that in my phone, there's not a lot of people that have websites, but you at that point had built up enough of those relationships that you knew that. I love that. Warm transfers is what they're calling themselves, or something like warm calling.
I think when you're very confident of what product it is that you are selling, because my product was a digital one for web design, when you're very confident in what you're selling, whether they say yes, or if they say yes, it's going to be a gain for both of you. If they say no, it's their loss. And so it doesn't really hurt you when someone says no, because of the confidence you have behind your product.
Yeah. You also have confidence going into a warm lead. There's just something about
they could always say no. But they could always say no. They could always think you're salesy, they could always and then you have that in back of your. But if you know that you're in it to really help someone and your product is to really help, you feel salesy. You feel salesy. But if you're feeling salesy, it's because you're doing it with the wrong intentions. And I found that intention is the key into sales.
Yeah. And building relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's not about relationships,
your intention,
then forget it, because you got to get to know, like, hey, when someone comes on the lot, right, for buying a car, right, they're making a huge investment, and the first thing that you got to ask is, like, what are they looking for? You got to build that relationship of knowing their wants and their needs. They, they're paying. They got the pain point. They don't got the car that they want, right?
I didn't know we both had a sales background. I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know you had that. So which would make sense now that I've been connecting with you for, this amount of time. Like, that would make sense, because our relationship as it's grown. Okay. Okay. So then what was the next pivot? Like, what did
now we're in the next pivot. So,
okay.
So basically, I did a next pivot. Like I did do kind of like biz coaching for mompreneurs. And I found that I didn't really like it. I didn't really enjoy that because a lot of it is mindset and people weren't willing to do what it takes to get to where they want to be.
Mm.
You know, and that and
Mm-hmm.
they need time and
Mm-hmm.
they want results very, very quickly. But they don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to tell them what they need to do instead of understanding what it is that's within them that
Mm-hmm.
they need to do.
And
I
that
don't know if
does
that
take
makes
time. That takes time. Like I had to be the money coach and sit with that for like a year and a half to figure out this isn't, and that takes time. And all of us, I like the way that you said that. And then so you learned there what kind of client you wanted to
yeah, I mean,
have.
I remember. So I remember I talked to someone for an hour. And then they're like, shoot, this was such a great session. Like, hey, here's payment. I was like, oh wow, you know? And I was like, money's being thrown at me for just being on fire for being passionate in marketing, being passionate in business, being passionate in entrepreneurship. And I took on a few clients with business coaching, but I shut that down real quick because I just felt as though I needed to provide more of like what we have now. Does that make sense? Like now we
Mm-hmm.
have courses, now we have like items to help them through those processes that they need instead of just having an hour and a half session talking about,
Right.
where they're stuck in. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
And
Like,
there's a time and a place for both of those things. But you as the business owner get to decide how do I want to set that up and how do I want to serve those people. And so you decided to pause and take time to set up these courses. And if
yes.
I'm saying that right, okay.
Yeah, so I decided to do that, set up these courses. And what really got to me and why I started like building the way that I did was back when I had my boys really small and Adriana wasn't even in the picture yet, my baby girl, and she's 4. I remember following these two web designers because I was a designer. Now I remember following these two web designers and they launched a I think it was a coaching group or a membership for web designers, and I was young and fresh. And yes, I was very thankful for like clients and stuff like that. But their price point of their course or membership was way beyond my reach, and it
I don't
hurt
know
me
why
to be
that, I
honest.
don't know why it get that just, this is something we've talked about. Yeah. Like you grow so big that you don't even help the people you need to help because it's so expensive.
Yeah, it's so, oh my gosh. And and not that I haven't invested in myself and
And I think that
absolutely.
we should
Yeah,
definitely, but you need to know
absolutely.
when and where and
I don't knock those. I'm like, damn, but I was hurting so much and wanting community. I was hurting so much and wanting, to talk with other mompreneurs and make mom entrepreneur friends instead of having these play groups that don't understand what it is to be an entrepreneur, a mom entrepreneur at that. Like, oh, you're launching something. Oh, that's it goes over their heads, right? What do you do?
that's a
Well,
whole nother topic. That's a whole
yeah,
nother
yeah,
topic.
I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I also have like a business, online business. They just consider you a stay-at-home mom. You have, like you're at home.
That's actually really sad. That's really sad. It's really sad. Can we just take a moment to just of solitude for all the mamas that go to the play dates and all their other moms, and bless their hearts, it's amazing. I wish that I could be there, but all their biggest concern is what's for dinner tonight. Not really, but can I just be honest? Like that's me. I don't care if you hate me for I just said it, but I said it. And I know it's not wrong. I know it's not right.
I know my sister kind of like doesn't feel like complaining to me because she knows all the things that I do. So it's hard. I understand.
But
Like,
I
really?
have learned, I have matured, and I have grown that those mamas that are just trying to figure out dinner or whatever else, like to hold them in sweet, compassionate places
Oh
and meet
yeah.
them. Right. So if I could just kind of come back and reel myself in and say that.
Oh yeah,
So
because I think it takes a lot of emotional strength, like mental energy to have babies. in the home, I mean, that will wear you out. That's why the laundry hasn't been folded. I gotta recoup from keeping these little ones alive, you know?
That's right. That's right.
It
And
takes,
that was my mom. My mom homeschooled us, and she stayed home with us, and she supported my dad while he pursued his dreams. And so there's just room at the table for all of us.
there is. And so I wanted to do, whether the mom that is a stay-at-home mom and thinking of coming into entrepreneurship, or the mom that is in entrepreneurship but maybe is feeling a bit alone, and not that God is like putting those boundaries, sheltering you from others. I think you need to come here to Monetizing Mompreneurs. You're welcome
So
here.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
But yeah,
There's
so I deeply wanted, because these two designers are moms as well, but it was just, it was just very high ticket. And I just didn't have it at the time. And I was like, I really wanted something that was kind of like a coaching, that I can ask my questions that I need to ask as a service provider. Because man, service provider, Cassie, you're a service provider. It's hard work.
Yeah, because you think you know what they want, and then you're like, oh, wait, they didn't. Or that one does, but then that one doesn't. And so all these different levels and all the
I think
places you have to meet them.
I think it's all, because I've been through it all as a service provider, and I've been through kind of like, thank God for Dubsado and for having a trail of emails, of they can't hide, like, oh, I didn't, like, how come you didn't email me enough? I've had that. Like, how come you did, like, we are 6 months out since you've paid this invoice and we needed to get things done, like 6 months ago. And now you pretty much ghosted me, and now you're back, and it's like, and now it's a new project and you want the same budget. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I've done, it's like how to set your boundaries. That's why I have contracts. That's why, even a bartering contract, because sometimes
I love that.
you gotta
I was like, oh, yeah, she sees it. She's got boundaries. I love that.
So
Because if you've got boundaries, you're going to respect other women that have boundaries.
yes. And in my mind, it's always been about, how can I do this better? How can I do it faster? And that's always been in my mind. Like, and how can I provide more quality? And that's with every single client, that's always been kind of like my mindset and everything that I've done. And of course, I've fallen and I've gotten back up. But anyways, so now that's always been a deep desire. And I've always done things from that deep desire, right? From the handbags. That was a deep desire I had to make those handbags. Seriously, I'll tell you the story another time. To the launching of the websites, that was a deep desire, because I wanted to do something with, with computers and design, and as an artist too, because I was an artist, and that's why my kids are drawing as well. And now my deep desire is to develop a community that, that would give everything that I've ever wanted in a community. And that's why, these live events, like, I would love to meet live, but I can't do it every week, or I can't, so I was like, how can we do it? We can do it quarterly, and then, once a month or something like that, meet up once a month, or, and develop a structure that we can kind of like help really moms grow their business for real, and not just blow smoke.
Right, which we see a lot are out there doing it. I mean, I'm even following some people that are like, oh, they're stealing copy, they're stealing my course, they're stealing this thing. And anyone that's doing that kind of thing is not really there to serve you, right? They're just trying to build that business. And so having those intentions behind what is your deep desire, I love that, because that's that authentic place. And so that is how you went from one pivot to another pivot, is that deep desire to like just do that, and it's that next thing. Okay. Oh, sorry. Nope. You have anything else to add? We're going to go on.
I was going to add another thing is, I did have like a fork in the road. We all get that in our business, right? And one of my fork in the roads was, I decided, like, shoot, I used to follow someone called Mimi G when I was sewing. I don't know if you heard of Mimi G style.
No, as I Google.
She was so cool. So she's so cool. She does her own outfits. She does her own patterns. She sells patterns. And I was like, shoot, why don't I sell and teach people sewing, right? Next best thing. I quickly found I hated teaching to sew.
And that's how I love that. I love that. And this is why this is so exciting, because we're so afraid to make a decision that it's going to be the wrong decision. But that's exactly how you decide what's not for you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to live with what ifs. So I've always thrown myself out there. It's like, hey, help, with the summits. I'm like, shoot, we're just gonna do it. And now I love it. I love the summits. I love, because it's one of my deep desires, right? But the sewing, I was like, I can't do this. I'm not patient enough for this.
Just get the needle. just pick it up. I love it. Okay, the fork in the road. The fork in the road. That's great. And you made that. That's so good. Okay. So, all right, here's a big one. And I want you, the listeners, I want you guys to hear, because we're going to ask for some goods. Tell us one business secret you held on to. You held on to it for a long time because you were like, if I let this out, everyone's going to know the whole like business plan, right? So tell us one secret you've held on to, and then you decided, like, I got to let this go. Like, it's time to share this, or like this, I don't need to hold on to this anymore, or whatever it is.
Well, does it count as a course?
So I wanted to ask this question because I think we all, as entrepreneurs, we all have something we don't really want to give out. And what I've learned is give it all away, because you're going to grow and you're going to learn and you're going to keep evolving. So that's why this question was really important for me to ask Linda, was because I wanted to hear it also shows what she's evolved to. So I wanted to hear, I filled in the gap for you. I wanted to hear what was that kind of that secret. Then you evolved and you let things out.
The blog cure is a lot of my secrets in the blog cure, and that's why I promote it. It's like a whole bunch of items. And the one thing was the flow method. When I did it for the summit, when I did it for the hot seats, and it's one of my most listened to episodes, believe it or not. It's one of my
I do believe it, because when you took me through the flow method, I was like, oh, I had all the answers. You saw as I'm doing it, I just dumped out all my answers, but now I have them in one spot. So the flow method is magical.
Thank you. The way I created it was, I took like a cardboard, right? A regular cardboard, and I had sticky pads. And I put all of those things. I was like, okay, this is what I got to ask myself. This is the questions I got to ask. What are the number one questions people are asking me? What can I create? Because I was like lost. Like, how in the world, what do I sell? What do I don't sell? You know what I'm saying? Like, what, right? Like, what's going to be a free offer?
So this is how the flow method started?
This is how it started. I was lost in the sauce. I was like, shoot, I can't afford these big group coaching, but I got to figure this thing out.
That's right. Yes, sign up for every free resource you can and cut and paste them till they, and then ask yourself and do your own deep dives.
So I did a deep dive. I was like, shoot, I'm going to create something. I'm going to just go ahead and do it. And with all the knowledge that I've gained, especially with like building courses and, building other things. And I wanted to build a course. And so I developed the flow method, and I found in the flow method, when I took myself through it, I was like, oh, shoot, this is where lead magnets fit. I'm answering step 1, or this is, or I'm answering something in step 2. And then that allowed me to understand how to build funnels, and I was like, oh, shoot, this is golden.
This is a funnel. This is a funnel. Okay. So your secret, your one, that first business secret that you felt like, oh, I got to like, this is my thing. And then you let it out finally as a course, or however you let out the flow method.
So I love the flow method little by little. Like, I didn't know if it would work with other people, because, you never know someone's mindset.
Right.
You never know how they process information.
And here's the thing, you guys, what she did is she took, if you've not seen the flow method, she took those Post-it notes and the cardboard pieces and all her questions that she worked on for herself. And then because she's computer savvy, and I know not all of you guys are, if you're like me, that she, this is kind of the bad part about Linda, is that she's got this I say bad because it's like, I want this, but that's not the way God wired me. But she's got these business ideas. Then she's got this technical side to her. And then so she's able to marry them really well, where there's some of us who have to hire people like you to come in and marry our creativity in those ways. But so she took her cardboard pieces that she said in her Post-it notes, and then she designed a cute little, not really spreadsheet, but I guess a little spreadsheet.
And then I put it, I was like, sure, I could add this in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, yes. And so then that's how. So if you've not checked out the flow method, really quick, where can they go find that?
Because that's episode 59. That's in the hot seat. But you can also find it in the blog here on my website. Just go to the shop page, and the blog here is there for $37, and you pretty much get to know a lot of stuff like branding, how to do your whole branding stuff. You get to know about like I have a whole thing about hashtags that you can grab. It's like a lot, and you get all the plugins.
And I'm just learning about the blog here. It's been like 6 months, and I'm like, oh no, and we have the blog here. So this is where all your secrets are housed.
Not all.
Okay, not all. Okay, the ones that you've got comfortable with and left out because you are let out because now you've grown. Grow.
That's my answer to the number one question that I used to get. And because I was, like when I was doing handbags, I had a client after client after client. And I remember when I was having client after client, I was like, shoot, I want like a whole bunch of clients, Lord, like, get me a whole bunch of clients. And I remember sitting there, and I felt like in my spirit, it felt like God said to me, like, if you were to get all those clients that you want, do you have the systems for them? Mm-hmm. And that's when I began building systems.
Okay, which was my other question. How did you get good at SOPs? Because just really quick, and I know I'm not sure what we're at on our time, but I have some other cute, fun little questions. But so you guys, this gal, I haven't been on a ton of teams, but I've worked at corporate, and I know that systems are so important. But this is my first opportunity to really get in and see like some really amazing systems. And so Linda, so that started me thinking, like, how did she, like, this is like how do I even describe? I think, here's the thing is Linda has the podcast. Then you find out she's got the blog here. Then you find out, she's got Monetizing Mompreneurs, which has its own system in the process of onboarding you there, and all of these funnels for each one of them. So it only makes sense. That her SOPs need to be on point. And so as I began to unpack what all she has and her hands are involved in, I started realizing, oh my gosh, she's really able to do a lot of this so well and have this plate so big and this family because of these SOPs. Okay, so how did you get good? Oh yeah, so that was it. You said that the Lord said, all right, well, girl, you think you want all this, but do you really have the foundational pieces? And so where did you first start kind of learning, or did you bring somebody in, or what, okay, so you're stuck. So we go back to you're stuck.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to answer I'm going to give you all the goods.
Okay.
So number one, AppSumo. I'm going to start there because AppSumo has a lot of tech that you can like help to use your system. So the number one thing that I kind of like invested in was my support ticket system. Because I was like, shoot, when I came to my web design, I was like, okay, I'm tired of emails. Where can I have things all in one place? And so I invested in a support ticket system. I got lifetime access, which was I was like, thank you, Jesus. And so remember, my thought process is, how can I make this better? How can I make this faster? And how can I provide more quality? Those are the three questions that I ask for anything that I do with a client or work out here or anything. How can I make things better? Because if I am in that mindset, then I'm looking for making things faster, better. And because I have kids and I have a husband and I have a household to run, I need things super organized in order to even run my business. So when I go away for some time, I can come back and just boom, 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 knock things out. Number two, I would say is Trello. Mm-hmm. Trello has definitely blessed me in having systems and having systems in place. Mm-hmm. Trello, which would really allowed me to develop systems. And I'm a type of person, I need to write everything down in order for me to understand how everything works together, right? And, you know, so that, so I started
Yeah, because
really
you
like,
pair Trello with a lot of your processes, not all of
yeah. And then
them, but
then I got Airtable, and, I
how
learned,
did you find Airtable? I'm sorry, I've been around for a
I
while and
learned
I
it
just
from,
didn't have Airtable. Like, this isn't
well,
part of my question here.
yeah. So, done in a day. I did
Mhm.
invest a
Okay,
bit in that. I
okay.
couldn't finish it because it was just I just couldn't, and I think they only allow you to have a certain time frame access to it. And I was going through a very difficult, I think I was going through something happened in our life that I had to take time off from social media entirely, from everything entirely, and so I couldn't finish it. But a lot of them, like Toby, it's a Chrome extension, with that actually allows you, like, let's say all your tabs that you are using, you can actually have it saved in Toby. So I learned that, and I don't want to give all away her stuff,
Mhm.
but I feel like these are tools that we can share with one
Yeah,
another.
so hold on a second, because I'm over here too. So did you just say that there's actually a tool that will help you? And if it's the tabs that you use frequently, you'll just go to it and it'll pull all those tabs up for
Yep.
you?
Yep.
Guys, did you hear that? Did you just hear? Like, these are the things that will change my life right now. And I am not where Linda's at. I'm where I'm asking those questions. How do I make this better? How do I make this faster? The sad part for me is I don't want to take the time to figure out who the heck Toby is. And I don't, so that's
Mhm.
okay, because we're going to get there, ladies. We're going to get there. We're going to get
So
there because,
I took two things away from, and I took Airtable away from there. So
okay,
I took that Toby, and I took Airtable away.
I
I
love
just
it.
couldn't go. I did not go through all the videos and all the
Right.
trainings
So
and stuff.
who
And
even
that
knows
was
what you're
about,
missing?
it was about doing VIP days. And so I want, remember, how can I make things faster? And I was already, because I have my processes for my web design, and I use something I remember back in the day called Content Snare. I switched over to Dubsado. And then I had already my systems that I can launch a website in 5 days. And so I was like, shoot, let me do this course, but I didn't really like do all of it. But I took away the Airtable. I was like, shoot, Airtable is awesome. And I
Because
took
it
away
is.
the Toby, and I was like, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. But because I've always since the beginning asked myself, how can I make this faster? How can I make this better? How can I provide more quality? I began developing SOPs. And then ClickFunnels came when I came across an amazing podcast manager called Jess Mulaney's. And she was like, Linda, ClickUp is absolutely amazing. I'm going to put you in there. All these SOPs that you have here, we can put it in ClickUp, in Trello, right? She switched me from Trello to ClickUp. At first, I was like, I hate ClickUp. I was, it was such a learning curve. I was like, I need things in
But
a calendar view. I need to
yeah,
like drop things in, move things around. But ClickUp
but
also
it's a
does
game
that.
changer. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to wrap my mind around it. But you being so kind to have me in that space with you, I have getting to used to it now. I'm like, okay, I think I could work here. Yeah. Okay. So all of those things, and that is how you just evolved to.
Yeah, and I invested in courses and material to help me as well, because if I didn't, I remember when I first had my first VIP client, I then invested in the, done in a day with Jordan. I forgot her last name, I don't know if you heard of it, but it's about VIP days. Now someone else is also one of her competitors who does it, called Sarah, and she also does it, helping service providers do VIP days. And it's something that I think recommended you, Cassie, to do VIP days,
Mhm,
and get your systems right. And what I learned
mhm.
from that is that I already had all the processes to do VIP days, but for whatever reason, investing in that course gave me more of the courage to put myself out there to do VIP days. That makes
And
sense.
then you gathered all your information and put it in like a system of organized where you could
Yeah,
then lead them through it.
and that was me hiring help, right? And so we bartered. Jess needed a website and I needed a new system. I didn't know I needed it, but obviously I did.
I
And
love that.
so,
So that was kind of like me with funnels. Like I bartered with you. I pitched something out there and you were like, oh, this girl don't know what she needs. But I'm about to tell her what she needs. And then here we are. And you helped me with those pages and kind of mapping out, because Linda really helped me. I have a Money Gal coaching page, and then I have a strategist, launch strategist. And so she helped me flow those out from start to finish. So
yeah,
yeah,
like
you were a game changer for me there.
oh,
For
thank
sure.
you.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Yay.
Oh, you know that. Oh, you know that. Surely you were like,
No,
oh, thank
hey,
God.
I like
Thank
hearing it.
God.
They say, it says not to brag about yourself, let others brag about you. So,
Here I am. You're welcome.
amen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
But you've been a game
So
changer for me. So, especially with the launch and helping me, because one of my things that I'm not great at is feeling overwhelmed when I have a whole bunch of emails or DMs or comments. For whatever reason, I get overwhelmed that I'm in this, I get stuck. Like, oh shoot. And then I don't know. I'm learning to move past that.
those take a lot of time though. Like, me handling the speakers and organizing that. And then the other ways that I help you as well. Like, emails take a lot of time to sit there and think through things. So that really frees up your mind to do what you do really well, So I can see sometimes we don't need to do it all. We don't need to do it all.
No, and it's great to hire people and to whatever you're not great in, to bring those people there, because I think that's a big part of leadership, is understanding where you thrive and where you don't, and where your genius zone. There's a great book by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. And I read a lot of books as well with leadership and with mindset, with money, because I knew that it was up to my mindset to change in order for me to grow my business. I had to really confront my limiting beliefs, in a sense, and see
Mm-hmm.
where am I limiting myself and where can I expand.
Which is helping just on that growth, and those interpersonal relationships are really important. And, if you're going to start leading a team, but also just that interpersonal of yourself and knowing where to take things next.
Yeah, and getting with people that maybe are ahead of you, that because I think if you're already in the mindset of how can I make this faster, how can I make this better, and how can I provide more quality, if you're already in that mindset, right? If you're faithful with the little, you'll be faithful with the bigger. And so now we're in a position that we're getting ping, 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 ping,
Yeah, I'm noticing. Yep, yep.
notifications.
And then if you have those people that I was just thinking about this the other day, if they're ahead of you, then you've got something to stretch. You don't want to be in a place where you're always the one that's ahead. So you got to bring those people in, and you got to make it worth their time, right?
It worked. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get on to just some fun, quick questions. I won't, here's one that's not super, super fun, but it is really important. And it is and then I want to just get a little peek into just your mom life, but how do you handle mom guilt?
So I did deal a lot with mom guilt. And then I had a kind of like this aha moment. And I sat down with someone you're going to be hearing next week, Stacy. And she said, instead of counting all of the things that you didn't do, count all of the things that you did do.
Mm,
And I think mom guilt comes from a place of, woulda, shoulda, coulda.
mm-hmm,
And I think it's about focusing more on the positives
mm-hmm,
and really having that mental shift of like, I know I'm doing my best, and
mm-hmm.
we did this and we did that, and I spent time here, and and counting your blessings in essence, instead of where you failed, right?
I love that. I think that was a great answer.
Oh,
That's gratitude, right? It
gratitude.
comes down to gratitude and the appreciation for all that you did get done. And even if that today was nothing,
Yes.
you have yesterday and the day before to remind you of many of days that you did get to do things and you
Oh yeah.
did. Yeah.
One of the things that has helped me go through really trying times is always, picturing every morning as a new beginning. Today I get
Mm-hmm.
to do, because I sometimes we can get stuck in like thinking this is the end of the world for me. Nothing,
His mercies are new every day.
Amen.
Yep. Sometimes I go to bed with that and I'm like, nope, just stop. Just everybody stop. Nope, nope. We have to go to bed so that we can wake up tomorrow and reset. Okay.
Reset.
Cause it's going bad. It's going really, really bad. Can we shut off yet? Sometimes it's like 4:30, it's that kind of a day. And it's like, okay, I got to push myself. And then as soon as I can get in the bed so I can close my eye, those aren't every day, but there are days, right? Where we just want it to just shut off so that we can go to bed and we can wake up and have new mercies. Cause oftentimes you don't have two really, really bad days back to back.
Yes. And you know what? I remember listening to Jess Lively, like the Jess Lively show. And I remember there was one episode that she was talking about being present. And I really took that to heart because it was, early on. And I remember, do you want to live your life feeling like I can't wait for tomorrow? Or you want to live your life like appreciating and just savoring each day and each moment? Because when we were kids, the days were long. Now we're just rushing. Well, some of us are just rushing and can't wait for the next day or can't wait for the next week until this thing happens.
Right. That's
so it's
right.
like, that's why I harp on like, how do you want to live your life? And what is your ideal business day look like? Or even if you like, let's say, like I asked you this question, Cassie. Let's say you made your $1 million, 6-figure, 7-figure business. What would be the difference of how you spend your day from now or when you had that 6-7-figure business? What is the difference? There shouldn't be a difference.
I don't know.
There shouldn't be a difference. I really feel as though whether you're making, 7 figures or you're trying to hit your 5K or your first K a month, why should there be a difference of how you spend your day? Why? Oh, then I'll be happy when I make the 7 figures. No, how come you're not happy now, today?
That's right.
Are you living your dream life today?
And that helps you be present too. That really does. Being present was a game changer for me. Just, you have 5 minutes right here between something, soak in that moment. And like, it just calls you back down and like that center focus right there. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Cause mom guilt's big, right? So I had to ask that question because you're doing a lot. And so how are you wiping that off? Okay. That was good. So we're not even going to add to it. All right. When you're not busy building monetizing mompreneurs empire. Yes, I said it. What do you love to do?
So this is going to be weird. When I am not, dabbling online, I am actually watching K-dramas, okay? Or reading webtoons. I know that's
What
hard.
is webtoons?
You don't want to know. It's like romance novels sometimes.
I love it. Okay,
really.
so that's like, are those your guilty pleasures? Like,
those are my guilty pleasures.
Yeah, that's good.
Like,
that's
don't judge
good.
me for them. I
No,
feel very
no judgment here. We all need it.
But I like a good love story. I don't know. I love a good love story, and that kind of like resets me. I feel good. I'm like, I feel relaxed.
Yeah, it takes everything, all that other stuff, because our heads sometimes just don't know how to shut off and turn down, right?
And I follow someone that's built her business on telling everyone about K-dramas, and I was like, wow, yeah.
And so you get to go to her, like she.
Yeah. What's the next great K-drama?
I love it. And so you're her people. I love it. All right. So I know that I happen to know this about Linda, but she loves to, like the other day, she was talking about, just everything she was doing. And she said, I didn't even get to cook anything for my family. And I think that what I heard there was that that's her love language is cooking for her family. That happened and it's to be their thing. And it is mine too. So that's probably why I could pick up on that. But so what is their favorite thing that you cook, like for them? Like when you make this, your family's just like, oh man, like we love you, Mom.
To be 100% honest, my kids cannot eat the same meal every single day. So I gotta vary it. So it's like, but one meal that comes to mind is carne molida, and that's ground beef.
Okay.
With rice and beans.
I love it. Well, because they're little and it's very basic.
And pickles.
Yes. Oh, and pickles. Okay, what kind of pickle? What kind of pickle do the kids like?
Sour pickle, like salty sour pickle, not the sweet pickles.
No, like a Vlasic pickle, kind of that kind of pickle. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Kosher.
So ground beef, rice, and black beans. Okay, what kind of seasoning do they like?
Lemon pepper.
Lemon pepper. I love that. Ooh, yeah. I need to make that. and maybe my kids will eat that. That's so good. Okay, you need to maybe put that somewhere. We all need to know that secret. Okay. Okay, here's a good one. And let's wrap up with this, because I think that this is really important. The reason why I think this question is really important is because this is where it all starts. This is what leads us. And it's that relationship, as Christians and being faith-based mompreneurs, that is where our source of creativity comes. That's where we learn. So my question is, what's God teaching you? And you can say it in whatever one you feel like is really clicking right now, but what's God teaching you in this season as a wife, mom, or business owner?
So in this season of my life, I'm learning a lot, like a lot. Number one, I'm learning to trust God with his timing, because there's a lot of things that I wanted right now. Like these notifications I wanted back then, like a lot of things I wanted like faster, like, but I'm learning to just trust his timing, because everything is just going along. So like I'm in a season of seeing everything just align, and everything, like what I need comes. Like, remember we had that whole issue with, I had the whole issue with not.
Yeah, I was like, no, you had the issue.
Transfer Hey Summit into
yes.
the new platform, into Thrivecart, and how I was gonna have all these segments and these replays playing, and the answer came, and I'm just learning to just trust God with it all, like all of it, like
every answer you need, every solution you're gonna have, and we can rest better when we have that trust.
I mean, it just blew my mind. And then as a mom, I am learning to be present with my kids more, and to give myself grace, to count all the things that I am doing right, instead of looking at what I'm doing wrong. And I think
your
that
best friend,
grace,
being kind to yourself.
being kind to yourself. And as a wife, I'm learning to have conversations that brings deeper connections.
Intimacy. He's doing
bringing
that.
God in it, because girl, do I go on my knees, and then I hear like, I had a dream. I'm like, yes, yes, you did, because God is fighting on my behalf. It's like, do I ask God, send him a dream that he understands how I feel? If there's there's like a moment. No, we don't go through that.
I love that. Jennifer Eves just said, if you're stuck with someone that you love, or it's a relationship or something, and it's stuck, ask God to reveal himself in dreams. He will bypass the physical and give them downloads while they're resting.
Oh yeah, I do that.
That's so good. That's so good.
Like, God, give them a dream.
I love it.
It's just better, right? It's like, it's kinder.
It is, because, and here's what I learned, the Lord told me from the very get-go, was like, that's my son. That's my son. Before he's your husband, he's my son, and I will guide him and I will lead him. Your job is to be my daughter. And let me teach you how to love.
I'm learning to have a very deeper relationship with God, with Jesus. Honestly, like, he's got this business, he's got this podcast, he's got my social media. Couldn't believe it's been growing too. I'm like, I'm not even posting much. He's got it all. He's got my relationships, and my prayer is always, God, help me to be an amazing servant for you. Help me to be an amazing wife. Help me to be an amazing mother, friend, and sister, and everything that you've called me to be. And that is my prayer.
That is the positioning of the heart. And that is where all the good things flow. And if we can get that right, if we can align that, and when we get stuck, we just realign it. That's where the good stuff, that's where it begins.
Amen.
Very good. Linda, thank you. And I hope you guys really enjoyed me wrangling her in so that we could get a peek behind the mind that she has and what she's offering you guys. Because I think it does come from a really good heart and a really good place.
Oh, thank you, Cassie.
You're welcome.
And thank you for everything that you've done for us, and just being like also a friend, right? Even, like, I'm just impressed. Sometimes I have bad days and I vent a little bit, and you pick me up. So
Yeah.
I just thank you for your friendship and for your insights and for your wisdom and everything that you have your hands on. May God continue to bless you and direct your path. In
Thank you.
Jesus' name, amen.
Oh, so good. So good. Thanks you guys all for listening.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a chance, stop by the website at lindamendable.com. Sign up for the Blog Cure, which is an awesome course that I created that will help you set up your blog or take your blog to the next level. And join us over at Monetizing Mompreneurs Facebook group. I just want to say again, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.